Huh. Well, that's it. Game of Thrones is over. Well, the show is anyway. Song of Fire and Ice may never end. Depends on how long it takes the guy to write it. But the show's done. Seen the last episode. That was an odd experience. Spent about the first half of it, right up until spoilers, like massive spoilers. So there's your warning. Right up until Daenerys got killed, basically sighing and going, "Why is this so stupid?" And then the second half of it going, "Oh, well, that's all right then." And I don't mean that in like it made everything that didn't work about this season suddenly work. It didn't. But as far as how it wrapped up, who ended up where, yeah, kind of works. So let's start at the front half, though. Let me get my complaints out of the way so that I can be done with them. John's a friggin' idiot. Like, eventually, yes, he does what he has to do, but like, why is he even... Okay, look, a big part of the problem with this for me is that I never bought the relationship between Dany and John. I just didn't. Their chemistry is absolute crap, and for my money, like, the number of times they were actually in the same space together was actually not a lot between when they met and when they were so in love with each other. God, I hate that crap. So, like, I never bought this relationship. And so much of what's been going on lately, in the first half of this final episode especially, is all hinged on that. And it really just hurt to watch. So I'm watching John go through this whole big, exaggerated, painful journey, realizing what he has to do, and the show acting like he didn't have a nearly comparable experience with Ygritte. What was it, 5 seasons ago? Well, I mean, depending on when you want to take it for when she shot him in the back or when he watched her die. But in any case, the fact that it never comes up that this is not completely alien territory for him, or at the very least possibly acknowledge, I've been through crap like this before, I don't know if I can do it again, that would have been something. Instead, the show acts like this is something he's never had to deal with. Yes, he freaking has! And he had way better chemistry with her than he does with Dany. So, it really infuriated me when Tyrion's in jail. Like, first of all, Tyrion, look, who were you trying to prove a point to when you decided to defy Daenerys and, like, throw your thing down? Like, who was left to impress with that little thing? Like, who was that symbolic gesture meant for? Anyway, so, Tyrion's in jail, being dumb, because Tyrion has been dumb lately, and then John shows up, and they get into this conversation, and John is defending Daenerys. Not in like a help. He's not talking to Tyrion in like a help me find the strength. Tyrion's just, all he's doing is telling John the things she did. He's not even making an argument against Dany. He's just saying the things that happened. And John is there defending her. And I'm sorry, that doesn't come across like him being torn. That comes across like him as a friggin' idiot. Oh, and then you got Daenerys with her big, we're going to liberate the world, and give her what her current idea of liberation is. Yeah, we know what that means. And I'm assuming she must have been in it last episode. Maybe I didn't notice because she was on the dragon the whole time, and the dragon's more or less black. I didn't realize they decked her out in black leather. Like, oh God, when I saw her stroll up, and at this point she's in full I will destroy the world mode. She's in there, it's black leather, like, oh my friggin' God. And of course the Iron Throne is still standing after having a friggin' tower collapse onto it. Yeah, naturally. Ooh, I get to claim credit on this one. I called that the Iron Throne was going to get melted down. I've been saying that for a couple of years now, that when this thing ends, that throne will not exist anymore. So, I got that one. But, it was the turnaround moment of the show when Dany and Jon kiss, because my initial reaction to that was, oh, come on! And then he stabs her. I'm like, oh, good. And then we get into the second half, which is, it's weird, because on the one hand, it's a little boring, but I mean, it's a coda, it's a wrap-up, it's an epilogue, practically. So it's not going to be exciting, and more to the point, if this show was ever going to have an ending that felt like an ending, it was going to have to end in a way that things are boring now. Which I suppose makes Bran the perfect king, because Bran is frigging boring. And the funny thing is, like, after Tyrion has spent most of the season, definitely the first half of this episode, just being dumb, he shows up and makes a legitimately good argument in favor of Bran. Not bad. I am kind of glad that Sam's idea got laughed down, the installing a democracy. That would have been eye-rolling. But I do like that Tyrion actually makes a good argument there. The North is now independent, so Sansa gets to control up there. We meet the new small council, which is made up of all characters who I like. Well, Tyrion I'm kind of fed up with, but the rest of the characters I like Davos, I like Bronn, I like Sam, I like Brienne. I'm good with these people, and I'm looking at who's in charge, and Arya just going off to see what else is out there that she can find, and Jon back up at the wall, which honestly just feels right, and I can look at all of this and go, this is a good place for everyone to end. Getting here has been a bit of a mess, especially this year. So what it really feels like, especially with this being a short season, and especially with some of the character turns that happen and how rapidly some stories got closed off, you really do feel like the makers of this wanted to be done. And they had an endpoint that was a good endpoint, but in an effort to get there and to be done with it and to not have to do this show anymore, they just rushed getting here. So I would still say that this season has an execution issue. I would say this episode, second half of the episode at least, actually really doesn't. But the payoff for a lot of this stuff doesn't land as well as it could or really should, given that these are good places for these things to end. These were good shots for these things to end. These were good moments for these characters to end. But instead of leaving me fully satisfied, which it could have done, coming on the back of a properly paced and executed season, it instead leaves me going, they didn't 100% drop the ball at the tail end. Okay, cool. So what should have been a more triumphant, so satisfying, it is more a bit of a soothing balm on a burn. So, yeah. I don't know if I'll do a video overviewing my thoughts on Season 8. I'm debating that, because I could go on, longer, but I think ultimately it just comes down to the writing was just rushed, and whether, I doubt it was HBO who said you only get 6 episodes. I wouldn't be surprised if the writers went, no, we only need 6 to wrap this up. Because I really suspect HBO was going to give them pretty much whatever they wanted. But whoever's call it was, whether it was the show producers or HBO itself, whoever made the decision, only 6 episodes this season, that really hurt it. Because so much of what is trying to pay off in this isn't totally landing because the turns to get there are too sudden, and the number of storylines that are wrapping up are all piling up on top of each other, so we can't appreciate them the way that we could if it was just a couple to an episode, as opposed to dumping a whole ton of resolution and mainly into the previous episode. So, the season has not been great. Honestly, even this episode was not great. But if I look at the home stretch, if I look at how it chose to wrap everything up, I'm going to see, I don't know if this makes any sense, but it wrapped up well, but just at the very end. And not in a way that redeems the stumbles, just in a way that keeps it from being an absolute complete faceplant of the order of, Dexter. It doesn't, I don't mean to dwell on it, but like the ending to Dexter is so bad that it ruins even the good. I don't know if you can hear the rain. It's been thunderstorming here. Anyways, the ending to Dexter is so bad that it actually makes it where I can't even really enjoy the good seasons as much as I used to because of how badly that botches the ending. This isn't that. It's still not a good last season, but in terms of how the story concludes, honestly, it feels right. So, for the ending of this show, this season has been a disappointment. In terms of how the stories wrap up, honestly, I think it's pretty solid. I guess that's kind of it, though. Like, if this had been a solid season, this ending would have been a great ending. Since this season has not been a solid season, the ending is simply, oh, well, that's pretty good. And that's where I end up. Game of Thrones! It's done! My favorite house got wiped out a couple years ago, so, But in any case, what are your thoughts on it? Whatever they are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. There is a whole bunch of stuff to do because there's buttons and links, and there's the Patreon, which has rewards, like you get to vote and help decide topics. There's Discords, there's a ton of other stuff. Check that out. I've got merch. There's other links to my social medias. Click on things. It'll take you places. But you also don't have to. Because at the end of the day, folks, you're the council. I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned.